This rant will be entitled Jos Duggar and Billy O'Reilly, Partners in Misogyny. Now, over the weekend, there were a lot of comments made in reference to Jos Duggar, who had to resign from his position at Focus. No, that wasn't Focus on the Family Research Council, a hate group, Tony Perkins. But let's get into a couple things. Number one, I could care less about Josh and I could care less about Billy O'Reilly. They've proven what type of human beings that they are. And let's just, everything that's been sort of said in the media in terms of Josh is inappropriate touching. But look up the definition of fourth degree sexual assault in Arkansas and see what that entails. And it's much more than just touching, let's just say. And there are two things about this, and I just didn't want to get off, is that Bill O'Reilly used his position, his power, and his influence to try to coerce a woman to have a sexual relationship with him when she did not want one, especially his power at the station that he was working at, and said some incredibly disrespectful sexual things to her, and they didn't even have a relationship. And And, of course, the settlement was done just as Billy wanted it to be done, where she got some money and everything was swept under the rug because none of the stuff is available for the records are secret. And remember, Bill E. was married at the time, and his children were under 10 years old at that time. Well under 10 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And then we fast forward that we found out in 2010 that Billy tried to choke her. Well, I shouldn't say try. Apparently had his hands around his wife's neck and was dragging her down the steps. Now, Bill is a big guy. He's over 6'4". And the few pictures that I've seen of him and his wife, it appears as if, 5'6", 5'8", I don't know, not that tall. So obviously, even though he's much older than her, that he physically could have very, very much hurt her. And of course, that's sort of been swept under the rug. He's denying everything, just like he denied not being in a war zone in the Falklands. But that's the type of person that he is. And then he told his daughter that his mother was an adulterer. Okay, terrible things. And the Jos Duggar thing, again, look up what fourth degree sexual assault is in Arkansas. It's much more than inappropriate touching. And what I really want to say is the parents are god-awful human beings, that this was happening to their daughters. And they let that I don't want to use the term monster, that sexual predator remain in the house with the daughters after he had done that. And of course, all we have is what we have been told. So we don't know if there was much more extensive, if there was more of that than it's just been written up in the papers. And I saw that there's an older girl who's 25, still lives at home. Is not allowed to touch some guy's hand. The father's got to look at this stuff. So we found out that the Duggans, or whatever their name is, very, very repressive. They're all homeschooled. They're only taught what their religion allows them to teach them, or what they feel their religion allows them to teach them. Those might be honorable types of things in terms of women and women's chastity. But let's just remember, this is done 100% to control the women, to control them. And what type of therapy, I want to really know, can there be an increase to what type of therapy those girls got and the babysitter got? I mean, we're talking, when something like that happens, the trauma, and we're finding out more and more about this now. The trauma that is inflicted on the woman is absolutely immense. And it cannot be measured by just saying, God has forgiven him, you have to forgive him too. And I shouldn't even laugh. But that's what I hear was the extent of the therapy that they received, is that God has forgiven him and now you have to forgive him too. And meaning Jos Duggar, and I'm going, those young girls, and remember he was 14, and it was 4 sisters. So how young was the youngest one? 10? If they're all 1 year behind, I don't even care. But I mean, some of them could have been as young as 7 or 8, maybe even younger. So, and then, like I said, one of them is living at home, who's 25, and back in the day, that she would have been called an old maid, and what was done to her? What type of therapy has she had? Extensive, long-term therapy to grieve, to accept, all of the things that need to go through so that she can have a happy and fulfillful life. But no, she's still living at home. She's still under the rule of her father. What kind of these are just terrible, terrible things. And because of Billy's position, because he'd been around for a long time, plus because he got a lawyer involved right away, he could sweep all that stuff under the table. And of course, he's still going to keep his job. Jos Duggar sort of had to get rid of his. We'll see him surface somewhere. Don't be surprised if he might be, knowing what goes on in those circles, meaning the religious right circles, he might be doing a lot of work under the table. He might be a consultant, all this other stuff. People might be paying him. He's not going to divulge who he's consulting to, that type of stuff. Don't know if he'll be in front. He was actually a pretty effective front man for them. I disagreed with everything he said, but he was an effective front man. But again, my concern is for the women that are involved. What type of help did they get? Not only Jos Duggar, especially Jos Duggar's sisters and the babysitter, but Bill O'Reilly's daughter, Bill O'Reilly's wife. I'm sure that they've gotten some type of help in reference to that. But the Duggars, they're on their own, because that religion basically says God has forgiven him. Now you have to. And of course, well, I don't want to go into any more. Just terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. And we'll find out. I would not be surprised if there isn't more involved in this.